Just gonna share some poems by Yusef Kumanyaka. I don't think I've read his poems ever, really. This first poem is called Venus's Flytraps. This is from his book Magic City. I am 5, wading out into deep sunny grass, unmindful of snakes and yellow jackets, out to the yellow flowers, quivering in sluggish heat. Don't mess with me, 'cause I have my Lone Ranger 6-shooter. I can hurt you with questions like silver bullets. The tall flowers in my dreams are big as the First State Bank, and they eat all the people except the ones I love. They have mouths. Fuck. They have women's names with mouths like where babies come from. I am 5. I'll dance for you if you close your eyes, no peeping through your fingers. I don't supposed to be this close to the tracks. One afternoon, I saw what a train did to a cow. Sometimes I stand so close I can see the eyes of men hiding in boxcars. Sometimes they wave and holler for me to get back. I laugh when trains make the dogs howl. Their ears hurt. I also know bees can't live without flowers. I wonder why Daddy calls Mama honey. All the bees in the world live in these little white houses, except for the ones here in these flowers, all sticky and sweet inside. I wonder what death tastes like. Sometimes I toss the butterflies back into the air. I wish I knew why the music in my head makes me scared. But I also know things I don't supposed to know. I could start walking and never stop. These yellow flowers go on forever, almost to Detroit, almost to the sea. My playhouse is underneath our house, and I hear people telling each other secrets. That's one of his signature poems. I'm a bit out of practice on it. This is one that I love. It's kind of overlooked among his poems. It's called Banking Potatoes. Daddy would drop purple-veined vines along rows of dark loam, and I'd march behind him like a peg-leg soldier, pushing down the stick with a V cut into its tip. 3 weeks before the first frost, and I'd follow his horse-drawn plow that opened up the soil and left sweet potatoes sticky with sap, like flesh-colored stones along a riverbed or diminished souls beside a mass grave. They lay all day under the sun's invisible weight, and by twilight we'd bury them under pine needles and then shovel in 2 feet of dirt. Nighthawks scalloped the sweaty air, their wings spread wide as plowshares. But soon the wind knocked on doors and windows like a frightened stranger. And by midwinter, we had tunneled back into the tomb of straw, unable to divide love from hunger. Yusef Kumanyaka, he's a Vietnam veteran. He's the son of a carpenter. And he says a lot of his poetry is influenced by his father, who could only write his name. But learning the tools of the trade of carpentry and the precision that goes into it influenced his poetry, because he would sit there and watch his father measure a board 5, 6, 7 times. Because if you would cut the board incorrectly, you lose the board. You know, kind of guided by economics. And so his poetry is highly influenced by that sort of precision. And this poem is for his father. It's called My Father's Love Letters. On Fridays, he'd open a can of Jack's after coming home from the mill and ask me to write a letter to my mother, who sent postcards of desert flowers taller than men. He would beg, promising to never beat her again. Somehow, I was happy she had gone, and sometimes wanted to slip in a reminder how Mary Lou Williams, polka dots and moonbeams never made the swelling go down. His carpenter's apron always bulged with old nails, a claw hammer looped at his side, and extension cords coiled around his feet. Words rolled from under the pressure of my ballpoint. Love, baby, honey, please. We sat in the quiet brutality of voltage meters and pipe threaders lost between sentences. The gleam of a 5-pound wedge on the concrete floor pulled a sunset through the doorway of his tool shed. I wondered if she laughed and held them over a gas burner. My father could only sign his name, but he'd look at blueprints and say how many bricks formed each wall. This man who stole roses and hyacinth for his yard would stand there with eyes closed and fists balled, laboring over a simple word, almost redeemed by what he tried to say. Youssef currently teaches at NYU in New York City, half a year. I met him when I was an undergrad at IU about 22 years ago. Slam dunk and hook. It's a basketball poem. Fast breaks, layups, with Mercury's insignia on our sneakers, we outmaneuvered the footwork of bad angels. Nothing but a hot swish of strings like silk 10 feet out. In the roundhouse labyrinth our bodies created, we could almost last forever, poised in midair like storybook sea monsters. A high note hung there, a long second. Off the rim, we'd corkscrew up and dunk balls that exploded the skull cap of hope and good intention. Bug-eyed and lanky, all hands and feet sprung rhythm. We were metaphysical when girls cheered on the sidelines, tangled up in a falling. Muscles were a bright motor, double flashing to the metal hoop nailed to our oak. When Sonny Boy's mama died, he played non-stop all day, so hard our backboard splintered. Glistening with sweat, we jibed and rolled the ball off our fingertips. Trouble was there, slapping a blackjack against an open palm. Dribble, drive to the inside, feint and glide like a sparrowhawk. Layups, fast breaks. We had moves we didn't know we had. Our bodies spun on swivels of bone and faith through a lyric slipknot of joy, and we knew we were beautiful and dangerous.